Welcome to Paradigm Shift, the podcast where we break down the latest in low code. I'm your host, John, and this week I am riding solo. Scott's on vacation, but don't worry, we have a wonderful guest in store for you. So without further ado, let's get into it. Today's guest is Oleksandr Matvitsky, Senior Director Analyst at Gartner and lead author of their popular Magic Quadrant for enterprise low-code platforms. He's one of the folks big tech listens to when deciding where to place their bets. And today he's here to break down what's real, what's hype, and where low-code is actually headed. So welcome to the show, Oleksandr.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, great opportunity to discuss the hot topics for today. Yeah.
Perfect. Yes. So could you give us a lay of the land? So those who haven't read your last Magic Quadrant report on low code, what's new with low code and what's happening right now?
Good question, because low code is there for a while. So the leaders of the Magic Quadrant, if you look at the history point of view and also today, is a Salesforce, Mendix, OutSystems. So these are the companies that exist for more than 20 years. And they define the low code at different stages. So low code isn't new. But what happens with low code today is quite revolutionary. So you can call it a coincidence. You can call it evolution. There are different ways of looking at it. But today, the hype that we observe about AI and now the revolutionary architecture that we call agentic AI, they very much aligned with low-code platforms. They are promoted and brought to production by the low-code platforms of the ones that I named, plus many other smaller players also do great things with agentic AI, and they accelerate, as they used to, accelerate application development, but now with the new architecture. And that is why low-code returned to prominence. So it was a little bit of a dive in popularity for the Magic Quadrant itself, and now it's going back to the top of the Magic Quadrants from Gartner. And in general, the conversations are so numerous and so revolutionary as well, taking into account modernization, taking into account the building applications that we never seen built, and now opportunities presented to business. So it is something that is more than 20 years old, but it feels new, thanks to AI and thanks to the evolution that technology is going through right now.
What can you say about low code platforms in general that make it a good fit or home for AI tools?
Yeah. There's concepts like the concept of visual development and abstraction, technology abstraction that doesn't need to get bogged down in the code and configuration and complex deployment scripts. So this idea of focusing on business rather than on low-level technology implementation, it's been there, and that's what AI also offers. So AI allows us to focus on business. Of course, I don't believe that English is the programming language of the future. There is a lot more complex requirements that need to be supplied for complex solutions. Simple solutions can be produced with the simple requirements. Of course, there is a lot of opportunities there for what we call citizen development, for what we call business technologies, where non-technical person describes what they want to get, and then platform will produce the application for them, and it can be very close to what they're looking for. When we talk about enterprise low-code platforms, we talk about mission-critical, complex applications that cannot be described in a chat. That chat will last weeks, So it has to be properly defined. It has to be provided with screen mocks, with workflow configurations, with database schemas. So these things not going anywhere. They need to be designed, they need to be architected, and people who can do this, our engineers, our architects, professional engineers, they are going to use the low-code toolset to express the requirements, technical requirements, business requirements in this advanced fashion, not just talking to computer or chat into it or upload in Excel spreadsheet or something like that. So these tools that low-code platforms developed for describing the solution, they fit perfectly in to the requirements that we need to put against AI models, against LLMs that will be core components of our future architecture, agentic AI.
Briefly, could I ask you about these new no-code services, these vibe coding services, as they're sometimes called, like Lovable or Bolt? How are those products influencing the space, if at all?
There are different impacts that AI and generative AI has on application development, and some of it is associated with traditional stack, as we call it. So that's where vibe coding is popular. So we found that LLMs can produce quite good quality code, and that code is now being built and now being accumulated. And I personally already see the state where it's too much of the generated code, and the manageability of these solutions get more and more questionable. And we already see situations where senior developers leave the companies because junior developers are using generated code too much. So senior developers cannot take the responsibility for what comes out of it and what goes to production. Nobody knows what's going to happen. And if something happens, nobody knows how to fix it. So this kind of a doom scenarios start to develop. Of course, if you know what you're doing, if you take proper controls, and if you put also a lot of AI assistants to manage the code and to monitor and maintain it in production, it may work. But the biggest problem with the code is that this is the asset of the past. Code is the asset of 20th century. We are already quarter into 21st century. So why do we use modern technology like LLM, like generative AI, to produce 30-year-old asset? If not, a 70-year-old, if you count from the time that first programming language was introduced. So this is a step back. That's why vibe coding is working for the people who used to code, for the people who express their solutions, used to express their solutions in code. And then AI helps. AI helps with everything. Is it the wrong thing or right thing? AI accelerates that and augments that. So that has the vibe coding and traditional stack traditional stack augmentation with generative AI has its place until the engineering skills shift more towards the LLM-based functionality, LLM-based workloads, agentic AI, as we call it. So today, agentic AI exists in no-code, exists in traditional stack, and exists in low-code. So you can build agents and integrate them with these different technology approaches. If you know JavaScript, you know Java, .NET, you can create agents and with LLMs and then integrate them with your traditional stack of your choosing. Or you can run them on low-code platform when you don't need to have any code, or no code. No code, as you mentioned, it's more of a citizen development, business developer type of work. And we already have identified a trend that is called no-code agent builders. So business people can build agents for themselves. Before we were given them platforms we call citizen application development platforms, where they could very, very simple and very, very abstracted dumbed down environment, build some simple applications for themselves, simple workflows. Now they can build simple agents. But again, the key here is simple. Once it gets complicated, once it gets critical, once it affects the business performance in the way that it can be dangerous, can be risky, this need to be given to professional IT. And professional IT has the tools, has the environments, also LLM related. They know how to manage LLMs, they know how to test them, they know how to secure them. So all this practice is being developed with professional IT. So no code does not go there. So this is where low code goes, or traditional stack development still happening. But I don't believe that traditional stack has a lot to live. So 10, 15 years, we will see significantly diminishing traditional stack coding because, as I say, agentic AI doesn't need it.
Looking high above, it seems like specifically in my view, for prototyping.
Mhm.
That no code, just prompt engineering is a quick way to get something that's usable, a usable prototype where maybe, I don't know, when I first started in low code 10 years ago, it seems like that the citizen development of low code platforms that was a selling point, was that
Mhm.
you could prototype and then segue easily into a production ready application. But am I correct in assuming that these no code prompt engineering is taking over the prototype space?
Absolutely, yeah. I completely agree with that because it's the quickest way to get to something that illustrates the high level requirements. That's all we need from a prototype. The difference is, though, older prototypes that we used to develop with, even with traditional stacks, it will be like a high fidelity prototype. I remember this concept, when it will be practically working user interface that gives good understanding to the business how the application is going to look and feel. Then developers take that prototype as part of the requirements and produce the system that looks like that, but actually has a full stack implementation. So those prototypes had to be thrown away. They were expensive things. They were serving their purpose because without them, there will be a lot of churn before we hit production. So they shortened the cycle and they served their purpose. Now with low code, no code platforms, and now even more with AI augmentation on top of those, we can get prototype that then can be further developed and put in production. So that is significant saving of time. There is a dream that is, I call it a dream. It's not yet a reality on a full scale, where a business developer or business expert could produce a prototype and then give it to the developers in professional IT to finish, to bring to production. It sounds like it's already happening. It feels like it should be happening, but based on my conversations on a daily basis with clients who aim for this, it's not happening. So there are not technical problems. There are not tool set issues that does not allow this type of collaboration. We at Gartner, we call it fusion teams. So it a lot less adopted in the industry than we wish, than it would be logical to assume, because of the culture issues. So the business experts, if we talk about banks, insurance companies, if we talk about government institutions, we talk about energy, utilities, transportation, we talk about different kind of manufacturing organizations. Usually business does not have time or desire to get to that level of involvement. So they don't have, sometimes most of the time they don't have time, but also they don't have enough expertise, enough desire to learn even the no code way. They prefer to express their requirements in some document or some discussion, and then architects who are IT savvy, professional architects, professional IT engineers, pick it up and try to do something. So this prototyping is being done quite often, especially with user experience architects and engineers. So this is where it will go. So prototyping definitely one of the top use cases today, especially with the AI augmentation and with Gen AI. But I just want to highlight that this prototyping still not being done by the business, and it's nothing wrong with business about it. So it's just culture. It's the way companies work. If we talk about small company, medium-sized company, where business has to do IT as well because they don't have other ways of doing it, they don't have budget, they don't have access to professional IT. Getting some partner would be too expensive for them. In those cases, yeah, we can see this is happening. There is true business technology, citizen development, not only prototypes being developed, but working solutions developed on low-code platforms, and now with agentic AI. But I'm talking about large and extra large business, where particularly Gartner has most of the clients. In these organizations, everything is more siloed. So everybody's roles and responsibilities more strictly defined. So it's harder to break the boundary between business and IT. So it's usually handover of requirements and then acceptance of the solution. But don't get me wrong, generative AI and agentic AI accelerates development there quite significantly as well. So developers just produce more, and business is in the easier framework to explain the requirements. So they can do talk to a model, talk to an agent that create the app for them, and then IT would have better understanding of what they're trying to achieve. Yeah, so prototype makes sense there, but at very early stages, and it's far from what it could be. Well, it can be half a solution.
I'd like to talk about or ask you about the Magic Quadrant for a moment. Your enterprise low code platforms Magic Quadrant.
Yeah.
Or could you uh, give us a high level, like, who are the current leaders of the MQ? Who are driving the most there?
Yeah. We are now in the refresh project that will see new Magic Quadrant in couple months. So the leaders that I can talk about based on the 2024, they are from 2024. So
Sure, sure.
judging by the names, you would guess that they are not going to go anywhere, right? So we talk about ServiceNow, we talk about Microsoft. These are the companies that were doing great job in this space in low code, no code. Now they are doing great job with low code, no code plus AI. And companies like Microsoft, particularly, not just doing great job, they actually set the market. They define what agentic AI should look like, and everybody aligns with them. So that's the flagship. Another big name last year was not a leader, but I must mention it's Salesforce, who pivoted their business, pivoted their platform quite significantly from focusing on CRM, and then everything else spins around it. Now they're focusing on platform. So Salesforce becomes a platform. They call it Agentforce, and everything spins around the platform. So it's quite significant change in vision in business go-to-market strategy that business now pushing. So I'm quite impressed with this change that happens. There are old friends, OutSystems and Mendix. They are leaders, and I don't see them leaving Leaders Quadrant for any reason, because they are still role model platforms, what we can call pure play platforms that represent what low-code platforms should be. And they remain there at the forefront. They continue, of course, adopting generative AI like everyone else, but their tool set, their developer experience, their addressing of the variety of use cases, including mobile apps, including public web applications, complex workflows, complex data schema, complex integration. So when we say complex, this is all about Mendix and OutSystems. That's why people use them. And of course, there is Pega and Appian also present in the Magic Quadrant, where they focus on business process automation, and they want to offer not only the developer toolset, but also some functionality that is available straight away for like case management solutions. And these are the platforms that want to be go-to platform for everything that spins around the process automation. So they have that. And they're also very strong players, growing market, significantly growing, like market itself growing, and Appian and Pega also grow within the market quite strong. So I see the leaders there, and the leaders are well defined. We have some interesting challengers, but those challengers, they are struggling with the leaders also moving fast. And especially now when low code functionality, say 2 years back, start becoming more of a table stakes. So pretty much every feature that you can see in low code platform was implemented to some extent in smaller players and medium size and large players. So they were like, I kept telling customers that you can choose any because they can do all the same. Now it's changing. So agentic AI, particularly position of Salesforce, Microsoft, and ServiceNow, changed the competition there. They went again ahead of the competition, and they offer something brand new that didn't exist before. So I think leadership in this year will be reviewed based on the success around agentic AI and the vision, and also some success in production, some implementation that already happened. We will be reviewing a lot of that because that's what customers want us to see. Nobody's excited about drag and drop anymore, right? So we need to see what we do with complex modernization. We need to see how governance works, because if we package all these LLMs and push them to production, business will ask a legitimate question: how it is compliant, how it is validated for quality, how it is scalable, how it is addressing our operational risks. So all the risk management, these questions will come up, and whoever answers them better will be in the leader position.
What's your opinion on the potential market size of low code specifically? And am I correct in thinking that the big players, Microsoft, Salesforce, are driving a lot of the volume in way of like projects, developers in this space? How do you determine how big low code can get?
We keep projecting double-digit growth, and we were around 20% a year, and we still have optimistic projections there. Like I say, last year there was a bit of a dive, so it became more or less standard to have low-code platforms, so they were not growing. Everybody got them, and there was a little bit of expansion. Now we see another significant jump because of the factors I described already, with the involvement of agentic AI. But it's not only agentic AI itself, it coincides with another cycle of modernization, another cycle of digital transformation. So this is there is a period to it. So every few years, we shift old platforms away and start working with new platforms. So regardless of agentic AI and LLMs, there was the time for this type of shift, for higher abstraction layers. The buyers went from build to buy. So technology buyers were preferring more modular, more kind of more pre-built solutions than try to build everything ground up. So there are a lot of coincidences here. And for those different factors, market is growing stronger than before. And what it growing from, so I mentioned modernization, so a lot of platforms that used to be there, and even mainframes are still around, right? The traditional old Java applications, .NET applications, JavaScript-based applications, all variety of already abstracted application platforms that became old compared to low-code platforms and agentic AI. So all this modernization will push the buyer to low code, right? So that's one. Then new opportunities. There are a lot of companies, a lot of big and small, all sizes of the companies have a long backlogs of things that they could never do. They were assessing how long it will take to develop a feature or how risky it would be to make a change, and they were not brave enough, or they didn't have enough budget to put in IT to develop that. Now they get these opportunities. Now agentic AI gives them shorter way to market, less risky way to market, and low code helps to do that. So this is second factor that makes market grow, is the new applications that didn't exist before, right? So modernization of the old stuff and producing new applications that they always wanted but were afraid to ask. So these two things that drive market growth, and I think it's very optimistic. Prognosis will be still. My colleagues in markets, they do analysis, they analyze what is the situation, make projections, and my personal projection that it will still be into double digits and 20% and more. Yeah.
Great. Job security for me. That's awesome to hear.
If you're in low code, absolutely, you're in the right place. And of course, with agentic AI in mind, that should be the direction everybody takes.
Are there any standout industries or verticals that you've noticed are really automating quickly and taking advantage of this low code and agentic AI wave?
Yeah, it's traditionally the same as same adopters, successful applications in production as with low code. We see the same with agentic AI. Is the financial sector, is banks, insurance companies, government institutions. Historically, it happened that they adopted the higher abstraction platforms faster, because for them, technology is not what they sell, is what they use to run their business. So for them, doesn't matter how many transactions per second one component can do. If their actual throughput is under that, they are happy. As long as it works, as long as business is supported by technology, they are fine. So technology companies that produce shared APIs and all variety of different technology services, they need scale. They are kind of blocked by the performance, by scalability, by technology capabilities, why the financial sector, insurance companies, banks, and also governments, they are all for time to market. They are all for flexibility, for manageability, how quickly you can make a change to stay ahead of the competition, to respond to customer demand, right? So that time to market, that predictability of solution is something that they value the most in their business. And well, governments also include their workflows are simple, but they need to make sure that the budget allocated for a specific thing is actually going to be hit. So we're not going to develop, and then always 90% ready. They don't accept that because they are heavily regulated organizations. So for these reasons, the low code and agentic AI now added to it is something that they particularly successfully adopted in production, and they continue to do so. We've seen awakening of the healthcare market towards low-code platforms. I'm not sure it will be easy for them to accelerate with agentic AI. There are a lot of blockers there. That's subject for a separate conversation. Manufacturing took an interesting turn. So they started developing their own specialized low-code platforms. So these general purpose platforms that I was talking about, they work there, but they need more specific. There's IoT, there is integration with a variety of different processes that's specific to manufacturing. So they have their own low-code platforms, and those low-code platforms also build generative AI LLMs into them. So I'd say that market is growing, but not for the market that I look after. It's a separate, specialized market for manufacturing, and IoT is going to appear there. Education industry kind of slower because they probably have less demand for time to market. For them, just if it's working, it's working. They are less picky about the technology and its effects, but it's time for them to do digital transformation. It's time for them to go on the new platforms because whatever they run is getting outdated. So that energy and utilities, telecoms, this is interesting segment where there is a lot of technology solutions already in place in telecom industry. And I personally expected the faster rate of adoption for low code and this kind of abstracted platform, but it didn't happen for some reason. So now it's getting a little bit better, but I think it's same as in the education industry. They just came to the point where they need to have something new. The old systems still work, but they are getting too old, too expensive to run. So they wouldn't be at the forefront of adoption, but still some significant indicators of demand.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the pod, Oleksandr. We really appreciate your insight, and hope to have you back soon. Any last words?
Well, I'd like to leave the conversation with this excitement point that I have about agentic AI and remind everyone that no matter how you approach it, if you're in the IT, if you're in application engineering, you need to be open-minded about it. And there's a lot of questions there, a lot of different unanswered questions, but that shouldn't scare anyone. It is the future. And if there is a question, there will be an answer. So I just want to advocate the trust to low-code, no-code platforms and their work that they do with AI and agentic AI. So want to give advice to to keep going in that direction and build something small that would build trust and start small, but that will become big. Sorry, maybe too long, but that's what I think.
Not at all. Thank you. Yeah, wonderfully said. You heard the man. Build small. Just start building. Well, thank you again so much, Oleksandr. We appreciate you having you on.
Thanks, John. Thank you for having me. Best of luck. Bye.
See ya. Till next week.